You guys have been asking for this. You know the day, you know from the title. We're re-ranking my Pat McGrath palettes that I have in my collection today. I know you guys have been asking for this. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm just a perfectionist, and honestly it's really hard for me to choose this video, choose these rankings, because I love every single Pat McGrath Mothership palette that I have, and I wouldn't not pick them or not purchase them, if that kind of makes sense. So I feel like when I rank something lower in the scale, you guys might think that it's not worth picking up, but it's not the case. I recommend picking up every Mothership palette. I know they're expensive, price aside, okay? But yeah, so we're re-ranking my Mothership palettes today. Now, I'm gonna do a different format to last time. I'm going to do the desk situation. If you've kind of been watching some of my more recent videos, you'll know the kind of desk situation I'm talking about. We're gonna do that today, because then we can just focus on the palettes themselves. So what I've done is I've done the desk format. I've swatched every single palette for you guys. I'm gonna put up photos of looks that I've created with the palettes, that kind of a thing, and hopefully it's helpful. I always kind of struggle with these because I just end up saying how much I love something over and over again with these, but I hope that you find it helpful and let me know if you like this format. Before we get stuck into this, let's just go ahead and do the YouTubey things. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Truly, thank you so much if you do. It helps my channel out so much, and I appreciate it. And now let's get stuck into my re-ranking my Mothership palettes from Pat McGrath. So what I'm going to do is I've got 8 physical Mothership palettes, the big ones. The only one I don't have is Decadence. I will collect Decadence at some point. It's just been my least one that I've been interested in so far, but I will say that Decadence is growing on me. My interest is really spiking in it. Side note. Let's get started. Now at number 8, it is Mothership 3 Subversive. So this is the outer packaging for Subversive, or Mothership 3 Subversive. It is, I try and get this straight every time on the screen, but it is so hard. This is the punk rocker of the Mothership collection, in my opinion, and then this is what beautiful Subversive looks like. I told you my palettes are well used, so don't come for me, okay? They're used. Now the reason why Subversive is number 8 in my collection is because of these 6 shades at the end here, to be completely honest with you. If I was basing this off of just the special shades, the quad of special shades at the end of this palette would be a lot higher up in my ranking, but I never ever reach for these shades. I just never do. These 4 special shades though are absolutely impeccable. This pink special shade is one of my favorite special shades in the Pat McGrath Mothership collection. If you watch the video of me swatching all of my special shades from Pat McGrath, then you will know this. It's beautiful. I love this cool tony gold. I love this bluey purple. It's really beautiful. So the special shades here, and when I'm looking for something that's like a more creative look on my channel, then Subversive is definitely the palette that I prefer to bring out and play with, because it is inspiring in that sense. But yeah, I think if this is more your style, it always reminds me of a punk rocker, or someone that's grungy, or likes to wear a lot of smoky eyes, then this is the perfect Mothership palette for you. Now there are some shades that are repeat offenders in Subversive in other Mothership palettes, in the other Mothership palette collection. Off the top of my head, it's this black one and this white one right here. However, at the end of the video, I will have a screen that shows each palette with duplicate shades. So you'll have at the end of the video, I'll leave timestamps and all that kind of stuff for you guys as well. Now let's go ahead and get to swatching of Mothership 3 Subversive. So these are all the swatches for Mothership 3 Subversive. Coming in number 7 is Mothership 2 Sublime. Now, fun fact, I said this in my original ranking as well, so if you've watched that video, I'm sorry, you're gonna get the same references, my friends. This reminds me of True Blood, this whole thing. I love True Blood. This is my favorite Mothership casing that it comes in. The artwork of this is impeccable to me. I love everything about this. But yeah, this is Sublime. So this is what the Sublime Mothership palette looks like. Now, Sublime to look at is honestly one of my favorite because this green right here, I'm a sucker for green eyeshadows. You guys know this, but this green is something so special because a lot of the times when you get dark green, like these foresty green type eyeshadows, a lot of the time they'll have a black base to them so that when you actually put them on your eyelid, they kind of turn more of like a black, like smoky eye with a hint of green, whereas when you swatch this shade and when you put it on your eye, it is this color. Like it is exactly this color, if not better. It is impeccable. It is the best shade, in my opinion. It's the best green shade I've ever tried in my life. It is stunning. I actually should reach for this palette a lot more. I just think this 6 just don't wow me as much, and there's similar tones in like other Mothership palettes. However, I love this 4 right here, and I do reach for this Astral shade quite a lot because it is one of my favorite, and I do love the pink in here. So let's go ahead and swatch Sublime. Okay, and these are the swatches of Sublime. So I don't know if number 6 is gonna ruffle some feathers or not, but number 6 is, I'm sorry you guys, Utopian Dream. It just is. I know that so many of you are really vibing with Utopian Dream, and I think that's amazing, but for me, right now, in my current vibes, in my current life, I'm not vibing with the warm tones as much. And to be honest with you, apart from this matte shade right here and the odd times where I will reach for these and this pink, I do love this pink, I wouldn't really reach for this palette if I'm being honest with you. So let me explain why. Now, overall, it is a beautiful palette, so don't get me wrong. Again, I can't stress this enough. I actually recommend every single one of these Mothership palettes, but you guys have been asking me for a re-ranking, and to do a ranking, I have to get so nitpicky with these palettes. And just remember as well, again, guys, this is personal preference. It's purely my opinion. So I recommend watching other people's videos to see why they do and don't like things. I recommend taking your own personal preference into account, that kind of a thing. So please just remember, this is very opinion based, okay? So don't come for me or anything like that, please. The reason why Utopian Dream is so far down my list is, one, it is just very, very warm tone. This pink shade right here, again, I'll swatch this shortly, but this pink shade is one of my favorite metallic shades from the Mothership collection. I love it. It's beautiful. I've already worn it 3 or 4 times in real life. It's gorgeous. I really, really enjoy this matte shade. This is a matte shade that, for me and my skin tone, was needed in the Mothership collections. It really adds something for me. This gold, honestly, I would take this gold out of this palette. In fact, out of all, actually, these 2 shades, I don't like this multi-chrome. I don't like it. I'm sorry, this is probably one of the only Pat McGrath shades that I genuinely don't really like. Even in the quad, I still like the color tones. I just don't love the formula, but with this one, I just don't like it. It's more of this like weird kind of brownie chocolatey maroony gold, and for me and my personal opinion, like my personal preferences, I don't like it. I don't love it. And same with this gold. It's just not something that I'm gonna really reach for ever, unless I'm trying to expand my like range, if you will, on YouTube. Otherwise, I'm just not really gonna reach for this. These 2 purples though, they're stunning. These are some of the best Mothership special shades in her entire collection. This, you have to see this in person, and you have to swatch it in person to understand why people love this shade, because on camera it just looks like this sparkly beautiful purple, but in real life this is freaking neon. It is neon. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. It's like the star of this palette. It's so beautiful. And the same with this shade. If you love the Fire Opal shade from Bronze Seduction, you will love this shade, because this is the purple version of that. This again is like one of my favorite shades in the whole Mothership collection. Now let's go ahead and swatch Utopian Dream. Alright, so this is Utopian Dream swatch number 5. It's quite funny because number 5 is actually Mothership 5 Bronze Seduction. Again, stunning. Like, her packaging is just A+, is it not? Like, Mother Pat, my gosh, never ever get rid of this beautiful packaging, okay? That's all I'm saying. So this is Bronze Seduction. A lot of people's favorite is Bronze Seduction, and it's very clear why. I think for us going into Christmas, this is a beautiful Christmas palette. Those of you going into winter, this is a beautiful winter palette. It's stunning. perfection. This palette is just so beautiful. And the only reason why this is number 5 and not higher is because the shades in here I wouldn't reach for consistently year round. So again, this like 6 right here, it's just a little bit too dark for me on the everyday. Certain occasions, like when I go to dinner, I wear this palette a lot because these shades are beautiful for like those more darker lit situations. Because in Australia, to be honest, especially where I live, not a lot of people wear like heavy makeup. So I mean, I do what I want, but at the same time, when I'm going to work or shopping or whatever, I do tend to wear more like light, sunny colors because that's just kind of the vibe for where I live in Australia. This shade right here, said it before, I'll say it again, it's my all-time favorite astral shade in the entire Mothership collection. I love it. It's truly my favorite. This palette, don't get me wrong, it has a really special place in my heart because it is just so simple yet so like beautiful at the same time. I love that the shades in here, like this bronze is more of a cool tone vibe, same with this like purple, so it's really a nice mix for me of like this warmy cool tone. It's just quite neutral. I really enjoy that. But yeah, I think Bronze Seduction kind of speaks for itself. It's just that for me, like in my makeup wearing preferences, I don't reach for it as much as I do the other palettes that I'm going to talk about. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to swatching this little Bronze Seduction. These are the swatches of Bronze Seduction. So we have got 4 Motherships left, and coming in at number 4, Divine Rose 2. Again, packaging, can we talk about it? It's beautiful, it's amazing. I will never throw these out, ever. They're just too pretty to do that. Okay, so this is Divine Rose 2. I think Divine Rose 2 is actually one of the Mothership palettes I've nearly gotten the most use out of. I love it. It's really, really pretty. You can tell I use this matte shade a hell of a lot. This is the shade that I have used the most in this palette because this shade is like the most perfect transition shade for me, especially because like I said, I love pink tones and I wear a lot of pink tones. So I will quite often use Divine Rose 2 and Divine Rose 1 together, and I'll always use this as like my transition shade. But Divine Rose 2 has moved down a bit in my ranking. I think from my last ranking, this might have been number 2 off the top of my head. This has moved down because again, I'm not vibing the warm tones as much right now. I'm really in a cool tone phase. So like I said, this ranking is very personal preference, but I do love this. In terms of quality, it's one of the best quality Mothership palettes in my opinion in the whole collection. It truly is. It's another level. It's gorgeous. These mattes are perfection. Metallics are perfection. This hot pink is stunning. This quad right here, gorgeous. The multi-chrome is beautiful. Look, I don't know if I'm a massive multi-chrome person or it's just these like tones. Like I've kind of already said, I don't wear a lot of like deep, dark shades, especially metallics. Like I like these kinds of like more lighter metallic-y shades. It's just a personal preference thing. So I do like this multi-chrome though way better than Utopian Dream. I like the shift of this one. It doesn't shift very well on camera, so you can kind of see it there, but it shifts to like a purple and a green, so I definitely like that a lot more than Utopian. This rose gold shade is stunning all over the lid. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. These like mauvey tones really suit my eyes, so I actually wear these quite often. There's one shade that I really don't reach for a whole lot in here, and it's this one. Every single other shade I can consistently use on the daily. I do. You can tell how beaten up it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch Divine Rose 2 for you guys, and hopefully you're still here and watching and enjoying this video. This is Divine Rose 2 swatches. We have the top 3, and whoever saw my original re-ranking, you're gonna be surprised it was number 3. It was the original number 1, Midnight Sun. Now Midnight Sun, don't get me wrong, like the top 3, I have to say, honestly, are pretty, well, actually no, the top one is definitely my favorite. It really is. But I do have to say that if I was to lose my Mothership collection, I think the top 3 or the top 4 would be like what I would instantly repurchase. The reason why Midnight Sun has moved downward in my ranking is, I guess you can probably pick it, it's more of a warm tone palette, right, when you look at it. However, this shade right here, again, my second favorite matte shade in the collection, it's beautiful. You can see like there's a giant hole in the middle here. Even this one, I'll quite often just like, if I'm in a rush, just quickly throw this shade through my brows, to be honest with you. I love this bronze. This is the bronze that I will reach for consistently. If I'm going to do like a bronzy eye, this is usually the one that I'll go for. I use the army green quite a bit because I'm a sucker for green and I'm a sucker for army green. The purple doesn't get as much love as it should just because it's colorful. I'm pretty basic on the everyday, to be honest, you guys. Coppery eye, stunning. One of my favorite looks I've created is just like this perfect like pumpkin spice fall vibe using this shade. This gold, if I'm gonna use a gold, it's gonna be one like this because it's more cool toned and I really enjoy this. And then Astral Solstice, stunning. It's just this perfect glittery toppery shade and it's gorgeous, and just to put it all over the eye with like this in the crease is just like the easiest, most beautiful sparkly eye. It's so pretty. This palette still has my heart, you guys. I still love it. I still highly, like, cannot recommend Midnight Sun enough. It's so perfect for like, you just take out this purple right here and look how everyday wearable this palette is. Look at it. It's just, again, I've said it a few times, I'm vibing more with cool tones right now, so it's just gone down the list a little bit, but it's a tough race at the top. You know what I'm saying? Like we're at a nose, we're like at a hair at the wire with these rankings because it's so special to me. Let me swatch Midnight Sun for you. And Midnight Sun. Now, number 2. Divine Rose 1. Now, Divine Rose 1 has been the absolute dark horse of Mothership palettes for me. And if you've watched my Mothership reviews, if you've watched my rankings, like you've been sitting here probably rooting for Divine Rose 1, and rightly so, because in my original review of Divine Rose 1, I wasn't in my cool tone phase. I didn't appreciate cool tones. I didn't know how to work well with cool tones really either. And I was a little bit disappointed with this palette. I'm not gonna lie, not with the quality, but just with, I was expecting these mattes to perform differently, etc. The more and more that I use Divine Rose 1, the more I fall in love with it, and the more that I realize it's really a staple in my everyday. Some of my go-to looks are made with Divine Rose 1. I'm obviously well more into cool tones right now, thanks to Natasha Denona Glam palette. She really set me on the cool tone train. But this is a beautiful palette, and a lot of people on my channel, when they come to like any kind of my pat videos, a lot of you guys will always say, oh, but Divine Rose 1, but Divine Rose 1. And I get it, because Divine Rose 1 is the second Mothership palette that I ever brought into my collection. She is special for a reason. This shade right here is like, it's gotta be nearly my second favorite Astral shade, because I use this that often. I also have like 2 looks using this one shade on my channel without even realizing, because I just adore it. This is the perfect cool tone gold. If you're not a massive warm tone gold lover, come and get this palette because you will love this gold. Again, cool tone bronze. These mauvey tones, they suit my like skin tone and my eyes so well. They're so beautiful. This shade reminds me so much of Lucky Penny. Anyone else? Does anyone remember Makeup Geek Lucky Penny? Like one of the best shades. And another palette like Divine Rose 2, where it just works so beautifully, cohesively together, like this whole palette. None of these shades, like you can mix and match this entire palette and it will always look beautiful. It will always look cohesive. It's a great palette if you're like a beginner to eyeshadow, but you're like, oh, well, I still want to buy a Mothership palette. This is a great beginner eyeshadow palette because really you can't go wrong. Like I said, you mix any of these shades together, you're fine. It's going to be completely fine. Let me go ahead and swatch for you guys, and then we'll get to going to number 1. And then we have the Divine Rose 1 swatches. So who is ready for number 1? Who already knows what number 1 is? That is right, it is Mothership 1 Sublime, which I find quite funny that Sublime is number 1. Because again, for those of you that have been watching for some time, you know that I never wanted to pick up Sublime. There was two Mothership palettes that I was pretty certain I was never going to pick up, one being Sublime and the other being Decadence. And then I remember that I had a comment from a lovely subscriber once, actually from a few subscribers. One subscriber that said that this taupe shade right here is her favorite shade in the entire Mothership collection, and I hands down like agree with her on that. Secondly, I had a comment from another subscriber being like, no, once you get more and more, you are gonna want to finish your collection. And I was like, no, I'm not like that. Naturally, I am like that, and I want to finish my collection. However, the reason why I picked up Sublime was not necessarily to finish my collection, but was actually because I tried Natasha Denona Glam, fell in love with cool tones, and started seeing Sublime in a completely different light. These shades right here are so beautiful. Now this shade right here is probably my third, maybe my second actually. I probably do like this one over, VR Fire Opal from Bronze Seduction, the Rosy Gold shade from Divine Rose 1, and then this one from Sublime, my top 3 astral shades of all time, like hands down. It doesn't look like it would be super everyday wearable, but I can assure you it is. It looks incredible with this through the crease, this on the lid, and this shade to just deepen it up slightly. Utter perfection. Since I have had Sublime, I have used this palette that consistently, that regularly. When I think about going to use a Mothership palette, I think about going to use Sublime because it's just such a joy to use. Let me go ahead and swatch Sublime for you. Alrighty, this is the swatches of Sublime. I have no idea what happened with the black. I just don't. I'm sorry. I'm really shit at swatching. Okay, so that is my Pat McGrath Mothership collection ranked. Were you surprised? What I want to know from you guys, and please let me know down below, were you surprised by my order, or because you've been watching like the Pat McGrath progression over the last year, where you like, no, this is exactly where I saw this ranking heading? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you would rank the Pat McGrath palettes at, or the Pat McGrath palettes that you have in your collection. What's your favorite? Let's just have a good old chat about Pat in the comments, shall we? And I hope you enjoyed the video. I truly hope that you found it helpful. I try and make it helpful, but then I just feel like I say how much I love things over and over again. So I'm sorry if you didn't get anything out of it, but I hope you did. Yeah, that's about it. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. If you are still watching, I appreciate you so much. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time. Bye.